Hello and welcome to the Vanarama National League Highlights Show. A new season is upon us and in its own way an historic one, with the return finally of football fans of the 23 teams in the National League able to travel the length and breadth of the country to support their teams. And a new setting for us, for now at least. The BT Sports studio is our home as we assess the action on day one and, of course, the season in front of us. In the company of Adam Virgo and Aaron McLean, who assures me, for those that are wondering, the wedding went off without a hitch. Very smart, Macca. Very, very smart. Where shall we start the action then? Perhaps with the team that came closest without quite making the leap to League Two at the end of last season. That, of course, was Torquay, beaten cruelly, really, by Hartlepool on penalties in that playoff final at Ashton Gate. They were at home on day one, Altrincham the visitors, and Richard Henwood has the details.
After looking like promotion certainties for much of last season, the big challenge facing Torquay is to forget the agony of missing out and prove themselves all over again. But for Gary Johnson's team, this was the worst possible start. Marcus Denanga gave Altrincham the lead just 14 minutes into his debut. And 5 minutes later, it got worse for the home side. Conor Kirby involved at the start and finish of the move that made it 2-0. But in between, the Torquay defending was enough to give Johnson an early season headache. His team briefly gave their fans hope by pulling a goal back with just over 15 minutes left. Altrincham captain Jake Malt's attempts to deal with a free kick ended with a ball in his own net. But if Torquay sensed to come back, Altrincham had other ideas. An emphatic finish from Toby Malarkey, making the final score Torquay 1, Altrincham 3. Manager Ian Birchnell has made no secret of his ambitions for Notts County. If their season's to be deemed a success, they need to be promoted. And this was the perfect opening day thanks to a second-half onslaught. A firm header from Ruben Rodriguez edged them ahead at Barnet, and there was no looking back. Rodriguez added his second from a well-worked free kick, and it was all going wrong for Barnet on what should have been a big day for new head coach Harry Kewell. The next setback, a red card for Josh Doherty as he conceded the penalty, which was scored by Cal Roberts. And 3 became 4 as County's Jim O'Brien raced away from the Barnet defence before giving teammate Carl Wooten a tap-in. Last season, County put 4 past Barnet, both home and away. This time, they went one better. O'Brien with goal number 5 in stoppage time. Stockport knew that if they could begin the new season in the way they ended the last one, they'd be tough to keep up with. They'd finished the regular season with a run of 18 unbeaten matches. And after just 9 minutes of the new campaign, they were ahead. The goal created by Paddy Madden and scored by John Rooney. It was the perfect way to welcome back the fans to Edgeley Park. But before half-time, Dagenham responded. An inch-perfect free kick from Will Wright. And more reasons to be optimistic for a team who finished last season with a run of just 1 defeat in the last 10 games. Dagenham lost captain Angelo Balanta to injury early in the second half, but a couple of minutes later they took the lead thanks to the player who replaced him, Josh Walker. And 2 minutes after that, they wrapped up an impressive victory on opening day. Matt Robinson's header making the final score Stockport 1, Dagenham 3.
Well, lots to get our teeth into from that first roundup, fellas. And perhaps we should start with what we've just seen in a very impressive and, to me, surprising win for Dagenham at Stockport. But maybe, Macca, you kind of saw it coming, did you?
Yeah, for me, I looked at Dagenham the last couple of months of the season and I thought, they really got going. Daryl's really got a team that he's happy with now. McCallum, 10 goals in his last 10 appearances. It took him a while to get going.
Yeah.
But this season, for me, if he can start early and get the goals, then, they've got a real chance.
Perfect start. Obviously, Rooney on the score sheet. They've got so many options themselves, Stockport. But then Dagenham kind of took control here, Adam. Yeah,
I thought they were a dominant game from Daryl's side. I think that they showed great qualities within the final third and showed great resilience in the second half. And picking up what Aaron picked up from the end of last season, there's a nucleus of a squad there. It reminds me of Sutton with Matt Gray's side last season. You keep the majority of the squad, you can work with that. We see so many times in National League, especially sides get depleted by teams. You look at Torquay, for instance, they lose their best players, but Dagenham seem to keep the majority of their squad. They brought in Ling, they brought in Walker. I'm sure Darryl will want to make one or two more signings, but he'd be absolutely delighted with the start these side have made. Yeah,
Walker on the score sheet. The worry, obviously, and we'll see how bad it is that nasty-looking hamstring injury to Angelo Balanta. Darryl McMahon obviously concerned. Now, it's the opening day, so you don't want to draw too many conclusions from one game, but Barnet and Notts County, goalless at half-time, and then by 90 minutes, Notts County have scored 5, and Barnet are all over the place under new leadership in Harry Kewell.
Yeah, well, Barnet, obviously last season, a terrible season for them, went through quite a few managers. Now Harry Kewell's come in, they would have really been hoping to get some stability this season. 5-0 on the opening day isn't a great start for him, but it is the opening day, so there's no reason to panic yet, but there's definitely a lot of things that are going to need to be fixed in that Barnet camp.
Notts County certainly hitting the ground running, as of Altrincham, and that I think is a bit of a shock and a worry for Torquay at home, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, a little bit. To lose the promotion, fine. I think any side coming back the next season, you always see them start slowly. They've lost Collivan, they've lost Sharing, they've lost Randell, they've lost Whitfield, they've lost a nucleus of their side, and Gary's had to bring in youngsters along the way. But let's make note about it. Altrincham will upset teams this season by the way that Phil's side has played. Last season, they were great to watch on the eye, and, it was a great result for them.
Yeah, impressive. And Altrincham started last season very sharply, faded a little bit in the second half. Perhaps haven't got the depth of squad that some have, but Malarkey here, what a finish that is.
Unbelievable finish, unbelievable technique.
3-1.
Yeah, and for me, they're a team that, on their day, they can give anyone a game. They're a hard-working team. They've got a real good structure about them. And like I say, on their day, they are a match for anyone at this level. It's just whether or not they can get that consistency throughout the season.
So there's a look at some of the contenders. To paraphrase the late, great Groucho Marx, if you don't like those contenders, I've got more, not least Wrexham. Can the A-listers from Hollywood bring the buzz as well as the big bucks back to North Wales? Here's Jake Watson.
Wrexham will attract plenty of attention in the National League this season. Danny DeVito, the latest A-lister, to offer their backing to the pre-season promotion favourites. But the star quality came from Solihull's Joe Sabara, a goal worthy of the big screen. Paul Mullin could have been playing his football in League One this season for Cambridge United, but he decided to join Wrexham's promotion charge. Now, he was found in the area and picked himself up to emphatically open his account for his new club. The Wrexham fans hoping that's the first of many this season. Wrexham's player-coach David Jones' career has gone full circle. Starting as a junior in the club's academy, he went on to play for Man United, playing more than 100 Premier League games for the likes of Wolves and Derby. The 36-year-old rolling back the years to score, no doubt, one of the best goals of his career. Wrexham already proving great entertainment, but clearly Solihull and Joe Sabara didn't get the script, as in the dying moments Sabara scored again to mean that this one finished level. Kings Lynn and Southend have met just once in their history, a 9-0 win to the Shrimpers back in 1968, and the visitors, playing in non-league football for the first time in 101 years, took just 9 minutes to go in front. Sam Dolby with his first goal for the club, and also laying claim to the first goal of the brand new National League season. Rhys Murphy will be expected to score plenty for Southend this season. The former Arsenal man will put this miss down to early season rust. But Murphy had another opportunity just a few moments later. But this time his effort was well saved by Paul Jones. Sam Dolby should have done better with the follow-up. Kings Lynn lost both of last season's top goal scorers in the summer, but Gold Amatayo scored plenty in pre-season to suggest he could be the main man to fill that void. His shot beating the goalkeeper, but being cleared off the line. Now, there was more than 2,500 fans inside the walks this afternoon, but any hopes of coming away from today's game with a positive result was all but over when Junior Morais was shown a red card for what appeared to be a stamp. Chesterfield ended last season in great form, so we'll head into the new campaign full of optimism. And after a couple of quick-fire penalty appeals, the referee did award the visitors a spot kick. The Aldershot keeper guessing the right way, but Danny Rowe's strike with the necessary accuracy to give his side the lead. Kabongo Shimanga arrived in the summer after a couple of prolific seasons at Boreham Wood, and he picked up exactly where he left off last season to seal the 3 points for Chesterfield.
Well, Well, Vergs, James Rowe certainly recruited well at the end of last season, particularly Danny Rowe, and he's gone again in the summer, and they've got lots of options, and perhaps that showed today.
Yeah, I mean, the squad that James has at his disposal now is a manager's dream. The options that he's got going forwards, Stephen Payne coming in a bit experienced within that final third. We know the goals that Danny Rowe that can score at this level, but Kabongo Shamanga for me was the one where I thought, wow, that was a fantastic signing, because you guarantee goals at this level, and sometimes you look at Tottenham keeping Kane because Manchester City, you guarantee goals, and it costs the money. They've gone out and done that, but that adds pressure onto James now to deliver. But second half showed that those players that they've got in the final third came good. Yeah,
terrific start. It looked like it might be the same for Wrexham. We've probably got a big target on the back because of all of the razzmatazz that's going with the new ownership and their recruitment. Paul Mullin amongst the goals today, but Solihull gave him a right good fight for a 2-2 draw.
And Solihull, another team that, you know, an experienced team in this league, and they can give anyone a run for their money on their day. You know, they're always going to be in and around it. Whether or not they've got enough to really push on to get in the playoffs remains to be seen.
Yeah, there's some big squads you're contending with. Obviously, this was perfect for Paul Mullin. Scored all those goals for Cambridge, and he wasn't missing, that's for sure. Pile driver, but outdone perhaps for goal of the game, and there were some belters in this. Dave Jones here, folks. What a peach.
Yeah, rolling back the ears, wasn't it? It was just a brilliant strike from him, just a controlled strike from the edge of the box, and it's an area that Wrexham could be strong in with Davies and Young in there as well. Yeah. But listen, whatever the result was today for Wrexham, I think it's just good for Phil to get this game over and done with, because there's been so much razzmatazz over the summer. Who's coming in, new manager, new identity. And you've got to remember as well, this club's been up and down the mill. Yeah. And now they feel they're on the up. There's still a lot of work to be done. Wrexham fans can sure be excited, but it's going to be a good season for them. But I think they just still need a few more signings in some areas.
Yeah, we're always wondering quite what the teams that come down from the Football League will be like. Grimsby will perhaps see they couldn't play this weekend for COVID reasons. Southend's up and running quickly. Dolby getting the first goal of the season, as it turned out, and a win at Kings Lynn. Yeah,
obviously getting the win today was massive for him. You know, I think Phil Brown would have wanted to make sure that they get 3 points on the board early, and they've got a goal. Last season, they only scored 29 goals. So they've invested, they've brought in players like Reece Murphy, who, you know he's going to get you high double figures every season. So, you know, they've brought the right players in the right areas, but they need to now make sure that they build on today's win.
Yeah, looking forward to see how they and Grimsby get on in due course. We'll see Southend live next week on BT Sport. So those are some of the teams that will certainly contend as the season unfurls. We've got more action for you after the break, and of course we'll get the boys' thoughts on just who might finish top of the pile in 9 months' time. See you shortly. Welcome back to the National League Highlight Show. We've seen 6 games and 20 goals already from the opening round of games, and there's plenty more to come. We'll get the boys' thoughts. They can't wait to tell us who might win the title in the National League this season, and indeed who might go down. But here are 6 more teams on the opening day, desperate to be at least competitive this season. Back we go to Richard Henwood.
After mid-table finishes last season and the summer departure of key goal scorers, both Halifax and Maidenhead were keen to show some early promotion potential. Halifax, who'd seen top scorer Jake Hyde leave for Wrexham, were ahead after 27 minutes through Billy Waters. Maidenhead have also lost a key source of goals. After contributing 19 in the league last season, Danilo Orsi left for Harrogate. But Sam Barrett remains, and he was off the mark for the new season after an hour. A real scramble in the goal mouth, but a firm finish to make it 1-1. And the game was settled in the closing moments as Maidenhead grabbed themselves a winner. More defensive uncertainty from Halifax, eventually punished by Kane Ferdinand. It was enough to give manager Alan Devonshire an encouraging start to the season. As it finished, Halifax 1, Maidenhead 2. Finding the net was a problem for Woking last season as they finished down in 20th. But joint top scorer Max Kretschmar was handed the freedom of the Wealdstone box to guide the ball home and open his account for the new campaign. Exactly the start Woking boss Alan Dowson would have hoped for, and he'd have been even happier just 4 minutes later as they doubled their lead. But was it a second for Kretschmar or an own goal from the Wealdstone defender? home side were much improved after the break and halved the deficit when Josh Umaira's header found its way into the top corner. It was Woking who kicked off their season with a victory. Boreham Wood chairman Danny Hunter released a statement this week saying season ticket sales hadn't reached the levels the club had hoped for, with just over 300 sold. He may just get a few more people to sign up before the first home game, thanks to this impressive win on the road, given lift-off by Kane Smith's terrific early goal. The sort of goal to ease the pain caused by the sale of star players like Kabongo Shimanga. There's clearly still plenty of quality in the side, and it was in evidence again with this chip from Tyrone Marsh, which confirmed all 3 points. Weymouth 0, Boreham Wood 2.
Well, 3 away wins, 3 more away wins, and we'll get on to that. But Boreham Wood specifically losing Shimanga, Sorba Thomas not long ago, now doing so well in the Championship. They do lose players, but they keep finding them, Aaron.
Yeah, you know, Luke Garrard would have been disappointed that they lost Shimanga, you know, and so late on as well. You know, he's scored you 19 goals a season. But he's a very good manager, you know, and I think it's more about the team. You know, he gets his team working as a unit. So if one player comes out, then, you know, he's always got players to come back in. And he's shown that over the years because they've always seemed to produce good players. Yeah,
I mentioned all the away wins, not one home win on the opening day. So obviously Halifax going really well until Maidenhead got the better of them. You look around the league and think, how is it possible that the fans come back and don't make a difference to the home sides?
Yeah, it may be just the expectation that's on the players now that, you know, the fans have been away for so long, and I always like going away from home. Just sometimes you just have a little bit less pressure on you. And I found that with the results days, with some of the performances. But yeah, it certainly was unique, wasn't it, for away teams today?
Well, I would think so. Although Woking now full-time, Alan Dowson's recruited quite cannily again, and they have made, obviously, a great start to the season.
Really good start, and that's exactly what they would have wanted. You know, they looked dangerous the whole game.
Yeah.
For me, especially down their right-hand side, lots of crosses coming in, and players prepared to put their bodies on the line to try and get on the end of it.
Kretschmar certainly scoring the first, and he's, I think, claiming for sure the second. There's a suggestion, more than a suggestion, maybe there's a defender's forehead involved there, Adam. You might know how that feels.
Oh, he does more than me, yeah, he does. He claimed anything.
I was thinking about the OGs rather
than the OGs. I thought he meant Kretschmar's trying to claim the goal. But yeah, but it was a good result for...
Yeah.
Because you need to win in the teams in and around you. You know, it's going to be a long season for Woking, but as you saw last year, you know, trying to bring through youngsters, which gave them great experience as well. But it's one of those great results that you get on the start of the season that gives the whole team a massive boost. I'm
sure home fans will pay dividends in due course, but also away fans getting to travel to games. That, of course, is a long time coming and finally here. Now, how do you both see the season as a whole? We've had a glimpse today of who might be in amongst it, but you can make a case, really, for, what, 8, maybe even 10 teams to be in the mix for promotion?
Yeah, there's a lot. And for me, it's more about the goal scorers. You know, a lot of teams have invested in strikers. And obviously, listen, Wrexham are always going to be the pick for the majority of people. But there's a lot of good goal scorers at this level. And it's who can keep their players fit and which strikers really start the season well and can continue it throughout the season.
Let's have a look at the team's picks then. Yeah, no, you stand still because you've got to justify your picks. Listen, they're almost cast into the wind, really, from all of us, because we almost never get these right, because it's such a difficult league to predict, Fergus. But talk me through your picks.
Yeah, I mean, I've guessed one champion in 8 years, and that was Leyton Orient.
Right.
You see what happened over the last 4 or 5 years. Barrow winning the league, finishing mid-table, Sutton finishing mid-table. I just look at James's squad at Chesterfield. It is an unbelievable squad. And he's still got Jack Clark, he came on as sub today, you know, brought in Kellerman as well, you know, Jeff King at right back. You know, the signings that he's made really bolsters their squad going for the whole season, which could be vitally important.
So you're nearly feeling smug with Dagenham and Chesterfield, but you've gone Stockport, beaten at home by Dagenham, so you've not had quite the clean sweep today.
Yeah, it hasn't been the clean sweep, but I was always going to have that because they was playing against each other. So I was always up against it anyway. But for me, Stockport, last season looked a really good outfit, obviously with Rooney, player of the season last year.
Quigley's joined, so there's more options up front.
And with Madden as well.
Yes.
You know, they've got real good goal scorers in their team. And for me, that's always what I look at. You know, which team is going to be able to score goals consistently, even when they're not playing well.
There's also a little bit of an anomaly of sorts that often in recent years, not every season, but almost regularly, a team that finishes mid-table one season catapults themselves into the title race and goes up the next season. Look how many teams have done that in recent years. From kind of relative obscurity, they found a golden season. Any logic behind that at all? Or who might do it this year?
I mean, Dagenham were one that...
Yeah.
Aaron and I have picked out earlier, but I think the injury to Balanta is going to be absolutely huge for Darren McMahon.
If it's a bad hamstring.
It is, yeah. I mean, fingers crossed that, you know, it's the worst case scenario that he maybe misses 1 or 2 games. But as we mentioned, Paul McCallum, I think Eastleigh have a good shout, maybe.
Yeah, I like the look of Eastleigh.
You know, Eastleigh, Ben House is a player that, you know, we think can do very, very well at this level. It's all about the recruitment.
Yeah.
It's massive at this level. It's absolutely huge. And, you know, if you get a bit of money behind you and you can sign right... then it goes a long, long way. And I think, especially in the National League, that is why season after season we see surprise outfits sometimes, just purely on the recruitment. And
of course, the window isn't quite as narrow as it is in the Football League. It goes on for the majority of the season. So although a lot of teams have invested heavily in the summer to put their squads together, they can still cherry-pick a little bit, maybe even off each other, but certainly they can do business for most of the season.
Yeah, definitely. And I think they'll be looking at these first few games, seeing where, you know, whereabouts they lie, and the areas that they feel that they need to strengthen in order to be able to go and challenge. But every single season, the players get better and better. You know, the standard just raises every single year, and this season's no different. And for me, Mullin coming back into this division after getting promoted with Cambridge last season and scoring 35 goals just shows exactly the level that we're at now. Yeah, well, and the level, I suppose, polarises from Dover at the bottom with a 12-point gap to try and somehow survive this season. And Wrexham at the top, I guess you'd say, will be everybody's team to hunt down with all that goes with the razzmatazz with their new owners and the squad they've put together. So it's not necessarily, it's one league, but the gap from top to bottom is enormous. It is getting bigger and bigger. You know, back in the day, we maybe had 1 or 2. You know, Forest Green we always spoke about with a decent budget, but this year the money is there for teams to invest very, very heavily, and I think the gap is getting slightly bigger now from the top to the bottom. But this league, as we know, can always be really competitive. Well, with the postponement of Bromley-Grimsby, our first live game in the National League this season will be next weekend. We're at Southend for the visit of Stockport, so one to savour. Do join us from 5 p.m. next Saturday for that one. That's it, though, for our opening day chat and action. Thank you very much, of course, to Erin and to Adam. See you down the road. You're looking sharp. You need to pull your socks up. I think that's fair to say. So, what will the National League bring? I'm sure it'll be a roller coaster. Do join us on the ride. See you soon.